And I think you know what that comment is. I'm talking about the Charter Commission. When the Charter Commission came in, and one of the Charter Commission members made a statement and said something to the effect of, I'm sick of the curmudgeons in town, the old people who don't want to pay for the schools to operate, and let them go away and stay away. That's what we have Florida for. And I don't know why you're looking at me in shock, because it's right on the YouTube video. It was videotaped that night. The cameras panned the Charter. Oh yeah, Paul had a good belly laugh on it. It's on YouTube. I'll show you. Look at the YouTube. And not one person said, could we have a little respect for the elderly in this town?
I have a good belly laugh.
Yeah, he started laughing.
We're really getting off topic here.
No, sorry.
Go ahead.
Look at the video, Paul.
Michael.
The camera was on
Michael,
when the comment was made.
Probably in disbelief, I'm not agreeing with it. You know, it's one thing to laugh with somebody or laugh at somebody. It's a big difference.
I'd suggest you watch the video.
I will. Did you mind sending me the
And
exact
the
spot?
camera initially was on the Charter Commission members who were having a good brouhaha laugh over it, and then it panned to the audience when Paul gave a volley back, and everybody had a good laugh. But I didn't think there was any, I was embarrassed that nobody from the council said, could we have a little respect for the elderly, please? Nobody did. And I saw a lot of people.
Yeah, we're going way off.
Yeah, I
Finish
know,
up,
I
finish
know,
up. And then
I
you
know.
can go on your
So
Facebook page and say how I shut you off. So
I'm
let's wrap it
asking you
up.
tonight, since you do present that you have so much respect for the elderly, and you're arguing that, then I'd like you to show it. I'd like you to take the time to look at how this is going to impact everybody in this town, not just the wealthy, but everybody. And I am a senior, but I'm not crying poverty by any stretch. I can well afford to pay whatever I have to pay. But nobody seems to be sensitive to the fact that there are people in this town who struggle to pay what they're paying. So could we take a step back? That's all I'm asking for. A month, 2 weeks, whatever. Get a budget in front of you, a breakdown, a presentation, visuals, know exactly what's going to be purchased and what you're approving before you approve it. I tried to stay calm, I'm sorry, but it's like I come here every month and it just, I'm going to concentrate my efforts on writing letters to the editor. Maybe people need to know more. Thank you.
Michael Grasso.
Michael Racco, 25 Old Greenville Road. I'm going to try to read from my notes to speed it along as other people in the business tonight. I think it's important that before you go forward, you try to figure out what happened over the last 2 years. Look at the positives and the negatives. I guess what really bothers me is what harm would have been done to rebid the project 2 years ago with the PBIC. Maybe it cost you $1,000. But by rebidding that project, we would have learned a lot of information. I think the task force could have used that information probably to come up with a better bid for pushing. And I'll get into that. Jason Pomeroy, who I have a lot of respect for, and Dan Joubert were the ones that put that bid together. They worked very hard on that bid. It wasn't Roseanne Nadeau, it wasn't myself, it wasn't John Flaherty. We had two good people working on that bid financially and from the project management. I know a lot of people were upset that we were paying $250,000 for Dan Joubert. Town of Lincoln today announced they're paying $1.4 million for a project manager for the high school. $1.4 million. I know 2 years ago it seemed like a lot of money, $250,000 for a project manager for 2 years. But when you read the paper today, $1.4 million is still a lot of money too. So it was tough to get a project manager. Why I'm bringing this up? One of the recent bidders that responded to the task force did say that the town should have rebid this project 2 years ago. It was a mistake. It should have been rebid 2 years ago. He also said that construction costs have gone up 20% in the last year. 20%. So that's an indication of that, why are we going over bid is because of construction costs. I think the issue is when you delay a project for 4 years, you're going to have problems. You're going to go 50% more cost. It's unfortunate that the task force took them 2 years to go out to bid. The PBIC spent about 18 months. I thought maybe when this whole process started, that it would have been completed in 12 months. It seems like we lost an extra year on the process. Is that the extra 20%? I don't know. But it's important to understand that time is money. The other issue that came up, I was surprised when the task force started, they wanted to start the project from ground zero. They wanted to go back to all the players in this project and ask them what do they need. That's the worst mistake you can ask in business, is once you have a commitment to go back and say, what would you like? The door is open. Now what you have is unfortunate the superintendent said, the new superintendent, because Mr. Lindbergh did agree to go to Kennedy. The new superintendent said, no, I prefer, along with some of my people, to stay at the middle school. It's unfortunate, you have a commitment from Mr. Lindbergh, new superintendent comes in, commitment is gone. Also, with the police chief, I think he was committed to the space that was given to him by the PBIC. Now, we go back and we ask the police chief, you want the 100% of the building, as we're going to move EMA out of the building? What is the police chief supposed to say? You give him the whole building, he'll take it, he'll take 100% of the building. Is that a wise decision? It's not the police chief's fault. It's the planners that are at fault, the task force. That never should have happened. Let's go back to the 2014 bond. What did that bond say? It said consolidate school administration and town municipal to achieve efficiencies at Capital D. Putting everything together. And it also said, which everyone's forgetting, renovating town hall. Now the PBIC put in $45,000 for town hall for renovation. You know, this town administrator has been spending money to do some of the exterior work on town hall, but that was part of the process for this bond, is to do something for town hall. I don't know what the plans of the town hall. We also, with the PBIC, we invited our solicitor to come to a lot of our meetings. They did give us a lot of verbal advice that we took. We understood we needed to bid both buildings, Kendall and Bushy, at the same time, and we did that. We tried to, we went over bid, made mistakes, and we tried to go to rebid. Now, it sounds like the task force wants to just go to Kendall Dean, approve the contract with Calcin, and then push it on the side. What happens if there's very little money left for Bushy? Are we going to say, well, let's forget about Bushy, and maybe we can build a new police station for $6 to $7 million? I don't think the voters are going to be too happy with that. There's no guarantee. If you don't go out to bid for Bushy, and you complete Kendall Dean, and use all the money for Kendall Dean, what do we do with Bushy? Do we say, forget Bushy? I don't know. I think you have to bid both. If you're going to accept Calcin for Kendall Dean, you have to go rebid Bushy to straighten that out, to stay on the ballot. If you look at some of the numbers that came out, Calcin, compared to the PBIC rebid, the second bid, Calcin was coming in at $2.4 million for Bushy. The rebid for PBIC was around $1.2 million, 100% increase. So there's a big discrepancy in Bushy. Now the good news is Kendall Dean, the numbers were much closer. Calcin came in at $3 million, and the PBIC rebid came in at 2.6. So that's good news. At least Kendall Dean, I think, is in better alignment for this project, but I think there's still something wrong with Bushy, and I don't know how to fix it. So I guess how do we go forward? And I guess that's what the council needs to figure out. We have to come up with a reasonable budget for Kendall Dean. We need to know all the liabilities. There might be missing furniture, there might be missing technology. I don't know. We don't have all those details. We also have to figure out how do we stay with Bushy under budget. We only have about $1 million. So how are we going to work that $1 million to keep that Bushy building open for 15 to 20 years? I think it can be done. It's just a matter, it's going to take a little time for the task force to work on that. But we should award the bid to Calcin without doing that analysis for Bushy. You can't just take that step and say, well, we'll worry about Bushy later. It's unfortunate some members of the task force always want new buildings. the voters want that. I think they want what they were promised with the 2014 bond. So the bond says also renovate town hall. So is the task force going to set any money aside for town hall? It's in the bid. You can ask Mr. Bigliosi. It says it in the bid. You're going to do something with town hall. The taxpayers have high expectations for Kendall Dean. I think it's going to come out all right for Kendall Dean. But we don't know what it's going to look like. The interior, we all know the exterior. We've seen the drawings. We know what the building looks like. But as a taxpayer, voter, town council, do you physically know what the building is going to look like inside? The artistic sketches, what the furniture is going to look like, how the placement. When the PBIC did their report on Kendall Dean, the furniture consultant put the furniture in the drawings. When you put furniture in a drawing, you could see the concept, what Gary's office looks like today, and what it looks like going forward. It's a big improvement. You can see the same thing with the tax collector, the town clerk. The furniture really tells you how, when you place that furniture in the room, you have a good idea, is this really a good project? And when we saw it on the PBIC plans, it really looked good. But that's not being done on the plans by Mr. Sakosha, and I think it should be done. So how do we do it? You know, maybe the council should schedule a Saturday workshop. I know the council's busy, but it's important, I think, for taxpayers to come to Kendall Dean, look at some artistic drawings of what the building's going to look like, have an opportunity to walk through that building, have an idea what the elevator looks like, what the restrooms look like, what the water fountains look like, what the furniture might look like in the auditorium, what the sound system, at least a comfort zone. I don't think a lot of people are comfortable knowing what Kendall Dean's going to look like on the inside of the building. You can't do it at night. People are not going to come at night to have this discussion. It sounds like it's going to be a special workshop on Saturday. And then I guess we're going to figure out how to budget the bushing for $1 million, come up with a good idea so we stay under $1 million. And then I guess what do we do with town hall? 40,000 was allocated by PBIC. I don't know what the correct number is. Lastly, I think the town council should also ask our solicitor for legal advice to meet the requirements of the bond. I think it's important that the council would approach, at your convenience, what's important about that bond that we have to follow. The PBIC did receive verbal legal advice from the solicitor. We invited them to several meetings, and we paid attention to the renovation of the buildings. So, bottom line, it's not acceptable to award a bid to Calcid and forgetting about Bushy at this time. I think both projects have to be worked together. It may delay the project 30 days, but that's fine. Do you have any questions before I step down?
Mike Howell, decommissioning Hallowell, you said we could say. No money to decommission Hallowell.
Yeah, but that's not in the bond. That's part of the school bond. The municipal bond says you're going to focus on 3 buildings, Kendall Dean, Bushy, and Town Hall. That's in the bond, the $5.2 million. But the Hallowell is the problem in the school bond, which is a separate issue. It's not here for tonight.
No money to decommission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Art Bassett?
Hi, Art Bassett, 38 Elizabeth Ave. I'm going to try to stick to my notes here. I've heard a lot of things that I agree with tonight, but I don't get up and speak very often, especially to the town council. So I put some notes together. I'm here this evening to ask the town council and town administrator to stop and objectively reconsider your decision-making processes, and especially with the effect that they have currently and have had over the last couple of years to the town of North Smithfield. What do I mean by this? During the last 2 years, some consistent themes have emerged from the leadership team. You all are the leadership team in this town. From the early days, we decided to remove the PBIC without so much as an explanation, consideration of those served for 2 years or more. We labeled the word faulty and called them out as incompetent. to the issues that we've raised, that people have raised over the last 2 years regarding transparency in the political process. The new task force is a great example of that, repeatedly meeting in executive session for the better part of their tenure as an appointed body. We can ask our solicitor, but I'm not sure an appointed body has the power to meet in executive session. And I don't think it's a good practice to meet in executive session continuously, come out and then adjourn for the meeting. No one in the town council's, over the last, it's been reported multiple times, no one seems shocked or concerned by the practice. That alone is concern. In addition, I'd like to ask you to please consider your attitude towards both the public during meetings, online, and consider the fact that people are raising legitimate concerns, which many more people in town, possibly afraid to ask, possibly afraid to come to a public meeting, want to know the answer to those issues. Lately especially, either, I don't know whether you don't feel you need to answer, or you simply feel irritated that the same folks are questioning, but you repeatedly respond as if you're scolding a wayward child. That type of government needs to end. If you're going to respond via Facebook and the Valley Breeze, I'd expect a little bit more decorum. As elected representatives, and I don't always mean this either, I'll admit that freely, as elected representatives, you should be taking the high road whenever possible. We don't always meet that standard, but we should be striving for it. And last, consideration of your constituents involves not just the ones who agree with you. When you have a room full of individuals speaking out, as they did for the solar and Nike issues, their opinions should have been weighed and considered. Maybe you think you did that. I think the vast majority of folks in town would disagree. An overwhelming show of support at a town meeting should really be taken as a heavyweight. That takes a lot to get. I mean, you know how many, there's a lot of people here tonight. This is a huge attendance for a town council meeting, for any meeting, frankly, in this town. So if you have a number of people getting up in front of you, really take that, weight it a little bit heavier, please. You do have one very diligent watchdog in town who's been consistently pointing out a lot of these shortcomings. From the variations in size to the Kendall Bean renovation, to the fact that the school administration is only tangentially honoring the original spirit of the bond. Your irritation at being held to a standard is consistently showing lately, and your answers are becoming tiresome and imply that you know better. I'm here tonight, and I did rewrite this several times, so I hope I toned it down a bit, but I'm here tonight to implore you to end this kind of attitude and thinking. Under your watch, all of you up here tonight, I can count 5 individuals ready to walk away from service to this town. I'm one of them. I have several meetings left on the school committee. I could not be happier in the 9 years of service I give to this town right now. In addition to those 5, I can name at least another 5 who aren't willing to volunteer. One who did volunteer and stepped down because of the attitude shown by the leadership here. It's time to bring positive change, and that change really should begin with you. So I'm asking for that.
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Yep.
To your point, with the room, we should listen with the room. Were you in favor of the schools getting 4%?
Was I in favor
Of giving 4% increase to the school department?
for the budget?
Yeah,
I think I voted for it, yeah.
because there was a room full of people, and they were all advocating 4%. We should have given the schools 4% because they managed to fill the room?
No, but you should weight that heavier. So it's not going to be the case in every situation, but I'll be quite frank with the Nike, and I know I've already reached out to you on this. How you could not foresee the circumstances that hit you the week after, you couldn't have read anything about the Louisiana mayor who didn't lose before. You must have been blind to that news. I don't understand how you didn't see it coming. It was all 100% predictable. So in situations like that, yeah, you should be listening to the folks that are out there. That's all. Thank you.
John Flaherty.
Hello, John Flaherty, number 10 Green Street. So I was on the council along with Councilor Zawinski and Councilor McGee that initiated this project. And it is just very disappointing. There's been a lot that's been said already. I don't have a whole lot to add to it. I also came with a whole bunch of notes, but I'm really not going to reiterate a lot of what we've already heard, other than to say that one of the things that disappointed me the most is that that this council would not give an opportunity to rebid the 2016 bid. Because if we did, I have every confidence we'd be sitting right now, at this moment, in a restored Kendall Dean. A lot has happened in the 2 years. It's taken a long time to get here, but one of the most important things that happened is that the prices have shot way up. So in the end, and we can talk about the reasons why it happened, or why this council may not have had confidence in moving forward with the last one. Fine, but the end result is, in my opinion, that this came down to a political score settlement. And the losers in this situation are the townspeople. Because in the end, we're going to pay more money for less of a renovation. And it was, in my opinion, completely avoidable. I don't know where we go from here. There's a lot of variables to consider. But what I would say is, I would encourage you to not take any action until you have all the numbers in front of you, both for Kendall Dean and for Bushy School, before you take action on any one of them. For the reasons that we've heard already, which is that we don't want to be in a situation where we proceed with one and then there's not enough money left over